They're yelling out, Diddy did it. But before we go there, let's talk about three men who they're not talking about. We're going to talk about Puff. But before we go there, let's talk about three men who they are not talking about. Three prominent men in positions of business and power. Or should I say, three businessmen in positions of prominence and power. These three men, the first one being James Dolan, the owner of the New York Knicks. Kind of call him out. He has been charged by a woman. Her name and the information will be put in the link below or within the information as I speak over it. James Dolan has been charged by a woman saying that James Dolan set her up to be sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein, a convicted sexual assaulter who has went down in infamy. Okay? There has been several records and documents, pictures, all these things confirming the relationship between James Dolan and Harvey Weinstein the previous 2-3 decades. And to add to that mixture is the relationship that James Dolan also has had with Epstein. So he has had a relationship with Epstein and Weinstein. Okay, this is James Dolan, and now he's being charged of sexual assault, or having a woman set up to be sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. And you don't hear about this in mainstream media. They have a convenient way of silencing these things when it comes to coverage, the news media coverage, when it comes to people who do not look like Puff. And we're not excusing Puff. We're going to pour juice on Puff, or pour juice with Puff very soon. But the second person who they're not going to have much conversation about in the mainstream media is Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban has had sexual assault charges, allegations brought before him by people who were close in proximity to him. For example, Dirk Nowitzki's brother. Dirk Nowitzki's brother, a decade ago, claimed that Mark Cuban tried to sexually assault him. How about that one? Well, Bart, that was 10 years ago. Okay, but let's bring it to today. Because Don Nelson has a lawsuit against Dallas Mavericks saying that Mark Cuban's right-hand man within the organization tried to sexually assault his own nephew. Don Nelson's nephew. Yes. So these are lawsuits going on right now in real time, and I'm giving you the facts in real time that people are not discussing. Think about that. And then we also later learned out it was the feds and the other investigating authorities into Puff's case. They're the ones that notified Puff. And let's be clear, Puff is free. As of today, Easter Sunday, Puff has not been arrested. Now let's get to Puff. And I say all that to say this. You can clearly see the biasness in the media coverage on how they handle these things. But that's not really my main point, but I want to open that up as a disclaimer to some degree. But let's pour this juice down. I got young folk around me. I got young folk around me in their 20s and their 30s. I got some young people around me. I got old folk around me too, with no young folk. One of my young folk, one of my kindred, my nephew, he texted me. I was like, yo, what's going on with this Puff thing? I said, oh, right. I said, I forgot you're 26. I forgot you was a young fella. And it's not just him, it's actually symptomatic of what's going on in America. And so, I tell people the common age for Black America is like 28, 29. Understand? The common age for Black America is like 28 or 29, pushing 30 tops. So you gotta understand that age group is still, it's very young, still impressionable, and they still lack knowledge on some issues. For example, this thing right here, Puff Daddy, to the I guess to a young observer, they would probably think, that Puff is okay. But to the average observer, they would probably think that BET is for black people. Now you be mindful, check my timeline. We did a video showing you how anti-black BET really is. We showed you this. And it's no coincidence that BET just gave Puff the Image Award. And that's when after they gave him that award, that's when everything began to start, that's when things began to start going downhill for Puff, in all honesty. This is when this seems as if a lot more of his behaviors have become more exposed. Now, you say, well, Bar, you're throwing this black man under the bus. He hasn't been charged being guilty yet. No, slow down, family, slow down. I wanted to give you a disclaimer with those 3 other guys first, but let me be clear. Let me be very, very clear on this one. We're not throwing Puff under the bus because of this. We've been through Puff under the bus. I've been through Puff under the bus. The team, the channel, we have already thrown him under the bus. When Styles P, my top 3 rappers of all time, when Styles Pinero of the Locks threw the chair at Puff, that's when I threw Puff under the bus. When the body counts just kept adding up and adding up, because he had the negative Midas touch, everything he touched turned to death. This is Puff. From the G Depths to the Biggies to the Shine Pool. Shine Pool didn't die. You say, well, his career died. It was still sacrificed for something that maybe he did not do. As the woman that was shot, she is saying, no, that was not Shine Pool that shot her. She's clearly saying that was Puff that shot her. Now, I know if I got shot, God forbid, I would probably know who pulled that trigger. And she's been screaming this out for over a decade now, consistently and loudly. These are facts. These are facts. Not allegations. This is not me talking. These are facts. Let me continue. We've been through Puff under the bus when we saw Greg Mack pass, when we saw G-Dep get hooked on drugs, Black Rob disappeared. We've been through Puff under the bus. We've been through Puff under the bus when he was yelling out, vote or die. Vote or die. For you know who? For those Democratic, liberal, blue devils. And he was willing to sacrifice the political integrity of his own people for a couple of biscuits. And as you can see, in the end, it has become profitless. But there's one more man that needs to be made mention of here in this video before I close it on down. We make mention of Mark Cuban. We make mention of James Dolan. And there's one more man, because believe it or not, I strongly and truly believe, and you can mark my word, I'm doing this on a timeline stamp. Mark my words on this one. When it's all said and done, and matter of fact, it's probably already in the wind now. It's already probably being whispered, already being stated now. Because you're not going to be able to take down Puff without seeing Clive Davis. It's just that simple. Just that simple. You can't take down Darth Vader, the big black warrior, and not leave the old white man alive, the Sith Lord. In this case, Clive Davis is not the Sith Lord, he's the sex lord. In the games he allowed Puff to play and put Puff up to do was a direct attempt to control black music media. Real talk. Real talk. And he wanted to control it through a sexually deviant way, and he empowered Puff to do so. This is truly my belief. Why do you say this, Juice Bar? Because I have been following this for 20 years. Before Jay-Z and Styles P became my favorite, my top two of my top 3 rappers, my previous favorite rapper was Biggie Smalls. May he rest in peace. We will always love you, Big Papa. Biggie Smalls was my favorite rapper for about 5-7 years. And when that man was killed tragically, I said, oh man. And the first person I thought of, I lied to you not, was none other than Puff Daddy. Yep. I said to myself, that man had his hands in it some way, somehow. Come to find out, over years and years, it was not, he actually, to my understanding, did not have Biggie killed directly. It was indirect. Come to find out, this madman, this psycho, well, say what it is. He's a psychopathic, sexual deviant that uses his power of coercion to manipulate the people around him. This is what people are alleging. This is what people have been seeing if you've been following this for 2 decades. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I've been following this for about 20-something years. When Biggie passed, and Biggie was shot, it was all mysterious, all mysterious. Oh, what's going on, what's going on? People knew Puff was somehow involved, but come to find out, the men that shot up Big's vehicle was looking for Puff for unpaid money for the murder of Tupac. This is what's being alleged. This is what's being said. Bar, do you believe it? Yes. Yes, I do believe it. Yes, I do. I believe that Puff Daddy is a Satanist. I believe he is a black Satanist. And he learned, it's the only way I can say this, family. That's the only way I can say this. And I believe he learned these wicked ways from the man who put him on, Clive Davis. This man, Clive Davis, has a long history with Whitney Houston. She called Clive Davis Svengali. Svengali is a story where a man uses his power of manipulation to control his artists. And this is what he has taught Puff, as what he tried, same thing, he imposed his will upon Whitney Houston. Yes. But just as I suspect, I could be wrong, but just as Mark Cuban's allegations will be swept under the rug, James Dolan's allegations have been swept under the rug, I suspect Clive Davis' allegations will be swept under the rug also. And they will leave the low-hanging fruit, that of Puff Daddy. One last point before I close. Many people are suggesting also, I will say this, I believe this to be true also, that the reason why he is being exposed now is because of lawsuits, or the fact that he is no longer profitable as a record salesperson because no one buys records anymore. Everything is streaming. So some suggest that he's lost influence over the black community, that he has lost that swag, that sway, and so the powers that should not be, they released him, they cut him. Some say that the lawsuit contributed to this, where the billionaires teamed up and said, we're going to ruin him for trying to sue us over this alcohol distribution lawsuit. So we get that. We get that. We also understand that white racism is a prominent factor in American society. Don't miss me on that. And we show you that clearly that there's a clear difference between how they handle such white people and how they handle black people in the media. No doubt about it. No doubt about that. But with all that being said, conversations over the decades about this particular situation right here with Puff Daddy, before we knew about Cassie, before we knew about he being responsible for Tupac's murder, before all of that, we were still calling him, I'm going to say it, a black Satanist. That's the juice, fam. Peace.